All right, welcome folks. Mil-Spec Ops Monkey here. This is going to be your 6:30 p.m. for October 4th, 2021, coming to you from the great state of Texas, and that would be live. So without further ado, let me hop over to our board here real fast. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe, and bell for notification. Currently up right now, we're sitting at about 173 up. Been watching this all day. We got up to just shy of about 400 aircraft. A little bit of congestion here with the trainers and the panhandles. Florida has been kind of hopping today. We'll get a little closer look, and then the East Coast here is kind of stacked. But one of the ones of interest right now, one I've been watching for all day, kind of going back and forth, and I'll show you a couple others. This is going to be one of those Dash 8s. This is one of your Spycrafts. It's called an RO-6 Alpha, and it's a Bombardier Dash 8, and this is basically out flying around grabbing data. And right here is, so this is gonna be Biggs, so it's right there in kind of the corner of Texas, and yeah, been busy, pretty busy for over the weekend too. So I'll show you some of those flights going on. Backing out, we do have a couple look like B-52s up. There's two B-52s right now doing a little dance, and then over Texas, we got a C5 there, and then we've got this E6 that has kind of bumped out over the water, which is, you don't see him going down south over that section very often. So that kind of got my attention. And let me see what else. Had a little two-ship of C-17s. You can see quite a few C-17s seem to be coming into North Texas area. At least that's where they're over right now. And let me get over here. I did see a couple of our Spec Ops birds. There's one for you right there. It's going to be a D328. So I don't know if they got some Dagger stuff going on, but those boys are landing up there near Chattanooga. Look like they're running some touch and goes. Another one that's airborne. So we've got three of them up. That one looks to be headed out of their normal location here and kind of out to the East Coast. So, and that is going to be kind of our ones we're watching right now. Get up here and look over the northeast, see if I've got anything of interest. Not seeing too much here. I did see some helos. Look like I thought we were about to get another stint of increased helo activity, but that has not happened yet. So we'll watch it and see what happens between now and the next half an hour. See if that number goes up or down. But we're down to 175, and just a couple minutes ago I was at 209. So it looks like we are on the decrease, which is what we would typically see this time of day. And which is why it was so odd when we saw the uptick, and then those aircraft, all the Spycraft that were up. So anyway, we'll come back to this here in a minute. We'll get on over to the board. But this is that aircraft that I was just talking about, the little Dash 8, the RO-6. It's got a lot of spy capabilities. It's actually pretty intricate aircraft for surveillance. And so anyway, that thing has been up, and I'll show you. They've got many of these things, so I'll show you what's been going on with that. So over here to Flashbang, let's see what he's got going on today. Looks like he was early coming out of his house, headed back to DC. So it looks like started hitting Candy Crush about 7 a.m., and it looks like Peppermint Patty was starting her press conference at 1 p.m., and then nothing really after that. So I did have to laugh at this one at 11:15, where he's giving remarks about just needing to raise that debt ceiling even more. It's incredible. We are going to bury ourselves. Like this is a house of cards, and it is going to come tumbling down here because you just can't do this continuously because there's nothing to back it. So it's inevitable, folks. It is coming, and it may be coming faster than any of us really intend. So I hope you guys are prepping out there. I know we've been talking about it for a while. So let's get over here to what's going on here in the U.S. and relative to TFRs. Pretty slow, pretty quiet. I'm going to get down and look at Florida a little closer because we do have a couple things going on down here. Looks like we've got Flashbang heading up here to Michigan. Those are going to be VIPs. Haven't seen that on his calendar yet, but I'm sure it'll pop up here shortly. And then over Florida, I want to say this one's an air show. Let me just double check. Yeah, TFR air show. And then this one right here, I'm not really sure. Let me get in a little closer, see what we got going. Hazards. All right. So looks like a gas transmission. So they usually are bleeding lines or something along those lines. So that's happening there. So there is that. That's going to be Disney World. That is a permanent TFR. Then we get around the rest of the world. Got another air show out here in New Mexico. And some of the usual stuff. Of course, fires ongoing. We are in fire season. So I'm actually surprised that is all we really have happening right now. But it is what it is. So, all right, let me minimize this and get on over to what I want to show you guys. So, we were talking last week about, 60,000 or whatever it was coming up from Panama, and that was actually eyes on, and we were being told by their head of security or something that, this was the amount coming in. I just want to point out that DHS is actually prepping for up to 400,000 in a migrant surge. And I've actually heard upwards of 1 million is what they're telling us now. So we are being invaded, and if we don't stand up here soon, we're going to get overrun. Simple as that. I know there's a lot of people in America, but there's a process to all of this, and if we don't start making a stand here, we ain't going to be here in 2024, folks. I hate to tell you that, but this is an interesting, like I said, interesting thing. 400,000 people for the month of October. It's going to be a record, and that's what they're expecting. So eyes on that, all right? Now, let's get over to this guy. I just wanted to point this out. It rolled into my headline in my news cycle, so to speak, today, because this guy is actually one of the wealthiest Romanians. He's a billionaire, and he ordered his aircraft into a building over the weekend. And so on Sunday, he crashed, killed his son and his son's wife and their kid, and there's like 8 people on this plane. So, but they are already suspecting something happened that is a little bit suspicious. And so I just wanted to kind of go through some of this and just show you, I did find the aircraft, and, we tracked it a little bit. And there's some, anytime you get an article that comes out very rapidly about the situation and how it took place, always makes you kind of question, what, it was just pre-typed, and then when he died, they published it. It's just insane how these things can come out so fast. So anyway, this guy was in one of these little PC-12 single-engine aircraft, and it looks like they even give an airspeed traveling about 200 miles an hour. Now, they could be out grabbing what I grab, which is possible, and so then they would have that data, and we'll get over here and take a look at it. But this is the flight in question. He's taking off out of Milan. This is actually, this white right here is him taxiing. Then he hits a runway and he takes off, right, and he rolls out, hooks a right, starts to turn. Now, all this point right here, he's actually climbing in altitude till he gets to about the back end of the runway, and then all of a sudden, he's kind of wheels off on this thing. And so let me see if I can't get down on my screen a little bit here so you guys can see. This is the aircraft, little PC-12. That's actually his aircraft right there. And the way I found this was actually going into flight radar, and I went back into the little Wayback Machine and found his aircraft on ground before it took off. And so, but you can see this is his rollout. Now this right here, this yellow line is going to be airspeed. And then this blue line right here is actually altitude. Okay, so you can see he's got a pretty smooth little climb out. And then it peaks out here at about 5,300 feet. Looks like he has some problems and then goes into a dive. Now, typically when you see them start to go down, this speed line will actually increase. But if it doesn't have any power to it and it just dies out, that speed line, will kind of maintain and really drop off with the altitude. So he's not under power, so to speak, into a nosedive. That's kind of what that tells us. Now, witnesses say that about 16 seconds before he crashed, he was actually looked like the aircraft was on fire, and so it could have been an engine fire or anything like that. That would indicate why we didn't have any power headed down. Okay, but again, Billionaire. Anytime you get a billionaire otters in the ground, always makes you wonder who he's tied to, because these guys are pretty connected. Again, a Romanian, and I want to say he's tied to Nottingham Forest soccer team. If I got the right guy, it could be a different guy though. It could be two people, same names. I don't know. Couldn't confirm that. I just know that they had the same name. That's all. So, All right. Now, let's get over here real fast before we bug out. Let's talk about China. Now, I did read some articles this weekend that said the lights were on at Bagram Airfield, Army Airfield, or the air base there, and that they speculated that China was basically moving in. But then I read some of this. This one's out of Newsweek, actually talking about China landing there with a bunch of supplies and food and stuff like that. So we're certainly ripe for the taking. If they haven't taken that air base, they will here in no time for sure, because we got a lot of stuff there on the ground, and it's already pre-built. So it's theirs for the taking. So wouldn't be shocked to see them fill that void. Okay. Now, speaking of China, they actually flew 52 aircraft towards Taiwan over the weekend, fighters and the like, which is kind of an interesting deal because, we've got a very weak administration. And, if Taiwan thinks we're going to have their backs during this, I doubt it, honestly. And so would not be surprised to see China actually make a play towards capturing Taiwan. Probably before the end of the year, if I had to guess. Just basically, I think they're testing the waters. And so to have them do this kind of speaks volumes. So I know if I were China, I would make a move right now because you want weak leadership in the U.S., and you certainly got it. So, okay, now let's move on real fast. Let's get over to Biggs Army Airfield, and we can talk a little bit about what's been going on there. Now, remember, Biggs Army Airfield is where we were storing all the poppies, okay? Originally, we had bananas coming in from Central America and South America, but then they, I think, got forced out, and we started bringing all of the poppies in from Afghanistan, and then they went into a quarantine, and then all of a sudden, now we look like you got Southwest Airlines starting to roll back into this place. We've got Sierra Pacific Airlines rolling in, and we still got Sun Country coming in. So these are 737. So really what I'm looking for on the arrival boards are aircraft that are non-military. It makes them kind of stand out a little more. A little Airbus down here. But it looks to me like these guys flew in, picked some folks up. And if we start to look at where they were headed, you got them going to Houston. Let's see here. You got Dallas Love Field, which, they could be bringing folks to Dallas. Wouldn't surprise me one bit. We actually had a flight come in over the weekend from there to Fort Worth Alliance, and I guarantee they brought people in on that one. And we got them going to Tucson. Now, I don't have any of the camps set up on Tucson, but I'm pretty confident there is some type of housing going on in Tucson that I could probably add to our quiver in terms of all of these quarantine locations and camps that are all standing up all over the U.S. But it looks like they've got people headed over to Tucson, and then of course we've got this one heading to Tampa, this one headed up to Minneapolis, St. Paul, which is that's Omar's swim lane up there. And so if we get back now, this is just today. Okay, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 flights coming in, 5 going out, and that is today. Now, if we look at the arrivals over the weekend, just kind of break it down, get into Saturday and Sunday, you can see this thing is pretty stacked Saturday and Sunday. So they looks to me like they're doing most of the flying over the weekend when nobody's really paying attention. But you can see we've got this one coming in from Baltimore. That's a 777. That is more than likely bringing folks in that are just coming into the country because they've been processing people out into our communities and neighborhoods, and they are now bringing fresh meat in, so to speak. So we got some fresh poppies coming in here. We got this Airbus that came in from Bluegrass, Kentucky, Lexington, Kentucky. This one's Lincoln, Nebraska rolling in, and then we've got these Sierra Pacifics coming in from Salt Lake. But let's go take a look at where they went. So this is where they came in. I doubt they had anybody on them coming into here. Probably came in empty, ready to start loading up. But you can see it's pretty stacked. So let's get over here to departures real fast. And then let me see what we have here. Saturday and Sunday. Here's our stack up right here. All right, let's see where we got them going. So we got them going to Indianapolis. Welcome. Fort Worth Alliance. Yep, that's our neck of the woods here. And we got Tucson, two to Tucson, 1 to Jacksonville. You got some folks coming to Dallas and another Fort Worth Alliance. So it looks like we had 2 flights actually go to Fort Worth Alliance. Lovely, lovely. And that was over the weekend. That's just Saturday and Sunday. Okay. So if you're in one of these areas, congratulations. You just got some new poppies. All right, now let's get over to some of the Spycraft going on over Fort Bliss. Now, this one was over, it landed 6 hours, 38 minutes ago is one I've been watching. You can see them when they start doing this circle right here. They are actually grabbing cell tower data. So I would imagine that these poppies that are staying on base right here. Now, remember, you only have to be within about 20 miles to be within range to do this. So they could really technically be out here doing it. That is probably, there's a cell tower somewhere between here and there. They're playing middleman. So they've got Stingray and Dirtbox. They're out here circling, grabbing cell tower data from these poppies probably that are sitting in here, and they're processing it, all of it, okay? So that's a good thing, actually. That's not a bad thing, because if any of these guys are Taliban or whatever, and they're still got comms going on with their folks back at home, then we'll intercept that and catch it. Okay, so there is that one. Now here's the other one. Now this was actually over the let's see here. Now this is actually an older one. It gave me it's faulty. All right, here we go. Now that's going back to the 28th. Crazy. All right, well, you know what? It did have it did have actually a recent one. It said en route just a minute ago, and now all of a sudden it's dropping me back to the 28th. So they've wiped the flights. Very similar in nature. But yeah, that flight's been wiped, and now that's all that's on the board. Go figure. Okay. All right. I love it when they change things on me mid-stroke like that. Okay, this is going to be one of your Texas DPS flights here. Now, you can see this one actually today, just about 1 p.m. this afternoon. You can see it out here running routes again, doing surveillance and grabbing stuff. And so we definitely have a lot of activity going on here on the border, and it looks like it's about time, okay? Because I will tell you, before all this stuff started taking place and we started actually capturing it and reporting on it and talking about it, they weren't doing any of this. And so this is, it's good to see. This is the Mendoza Diagonal right here along that river line, as you can see. And again, I made that up. Mendoza Diagonal is not an actual call name for this. I just am calling it that. But as you can see, for a while there was hardly any activity in here, and so now looks like we got hands on. So good on Abbott and Cruz for them. Somebody managed to light a fire under them, and they're doing their job now, it seems like. My understanding too is we got 1,400 National Guard on the border right now, and that number's going up significantly, and they're going to be placing those folks for the next 4 months, so that's good. Okay, sorry about that. All right, let's get over here to Mcguire. Just take a look at what's going on. You will notice we've got some arrivals here. This is a 767-200, a 747 coming out of Ramstein, arriving from Ramstein. So that is probably got poppies. And then this one here coming out of Wilmington, Ohio. That's a 57200. Not really familiar with Clean 22. Don't know what that is, but that looks like it came in internationally from here and then came over to this place to unload some poppies. Now, of course, notice this one here. Again, these are the U.S. Transportation Command. These are the Cambers. Notice that one's headed back to Ramstein. So it's actually going back to get more poppies. And then this one looks like it left and went back to England. And I would imagine we've got folks sitting here as well. And then over to Baltimore. So, yeah, they're now starting to process them. They're on the move. And you got the scheduled departure right here. I don't know what. Oh, it's Kalita. Okay, 74400. More than likely, that's been converted like they do Atlas Air. It's got seats in it. Okay, so they do that from time to time. All right. Now there's that. And let's get a report of Prince. Let's see what's happening with our coconuts. Now, most of those coconuts, like I said before, are in our country. They have been pushed through the border, given a chunk of money and a free ride, and sent on and said, come back someday when when our court system is ready to process you and hear you. Which that's not going to happen, especially with the numbers that we're seeing. We get to 400,000 folks coming into this country, or 1 million folks coming into this country. Your court system will be buried for the next 30 years. It's just, you're not going to have the ability to do anything with these people. So they are basically by default getting, immunity in our country. So, all right. Now this is Port-au-Prince, and you've got Eastern Airlines that came in from Laredo. That came in at 9:30 this morning, and that's kind of it. Nothing really going on. I mean, one flight now. So they looks like they're done, and then but let's get over here real fast. Just look deeper into the arrivals over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday. Let's see what we got here. Boy, we got a lot of flights in there Saturday and Sunday. All right, I'm just looking through them. We had 3 from Valley on Saturday, which was going to be Swift flights. Okay, so those came in. So they brought some folks in on Saturday. And then another one here, another Swift flight on Sunday. And it doesn't look like anything else. So we had 3 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday coming into Port-au-Prince, coming out of Valley, which is right down there near Brownsville. On the border. And then this is Capitan, and nothing really to speak of on the board. These are Lauderdale flights. So let me go over and just hit the more button, and let's see if we had anything over the weekend. Doesn't. We had 1 from Valley, so it looks like they still bringing some folks. That's the only one I'm seeing. So looks like Swift Air was busy over the weekend, and again, bringing people back to the country. Again, and these are only males over the age of 18 that are getting shipped back. Okay. All right. Now, let's get over here to some of these camber flights and just kind of see where they're going. I think it's important to have eyes on what they've got. Luckily, they didn't wipe my flight on me before I had an opportunity to look at it. So this landed a day ago. Came out of Mexico City to Fayetteville, North Carolina. So more than likely, Fayetteville, North Carolina got a plane load of folks out of Mexico City. All right. So welcome to North Carolina. I'm sure you guys are pretty pleased about that one. And then, and so that came in over the weekend. And then this one here, actually we get into another one. These are another U.S. Transportation Command. Let me see where this one went to. Fort Bliss over to, this is one we actually looked at. This is Biff. One of the ones I talked about coming into Fort Worth. So that was one of 2 that came into Alliance this weekend into North Texas. So those not familiar with Alliance, just kind of give you a lay of the land. This is Dallas over here on this side. This is Fort Worth here. So you got Dallas, Fort Worth, and then this is DFW Airport. And Alliance is kind of the north end. It was actually set up and designed by Ross Perot and his son, Junior. And it's basically a giant, massive hub up there. They do trains and all kinds of stuff. It's what they call an FTZ, which is a free trade zone. So they've got customs and big, giant communities and all kinds of stuff. So it's actually a very nice new area that they've been building up there in that general area. So not a shocker. Lots of neighborhoods, lots of shopping, lots of industrial stuff up there too. So, okay, there's that one. And this is another one. This is actually going to be Command 503, and so another camber flight. Now this actually landed. Well, they're ahead of us, and so showing at almost 1 a.m. Tomorrow, so to speak. So it looks like it was going Qatar over to UAE. Now, keep in mind, a lot of those folks are actually stationed or stored over, and I say stationed, they're being held up over here through the quarantine period, and now we're getting ready to start moving them back. So that flight's going to be picking up folks and bringing them to the U.S. 100%. Okay. Now, you can actually see on Sunday that bad dude was in Indy, came out of Biggs, went to Indy, so that probably took some folks to Indianapolis, and we saw that flight already on the board and gave them a new home, courtesy of you and I. And then from there, went over to Shannon, Ireland, over to Kuwait. So that's where it is now. It's over here in the UAE. Loading up some poppies and coming on back. So we'll probably see that one roll in, if I had to guess, up at Mcguire, somewhere around there. And the next day or so. Okay. All right. Now this is another one. This is Sierra Pacific 708, rolled out of Fort Bliss, landed 4 hours, 25 minutes ago, taking them to Tucson. And again, now, if you got anybody that follows me that's in that Tucson area, if you happen to see tents or anything along those lines, if you would just let me know. I'm really curious to see where they're putting these folks, so I know whether or not I need to add another dot onto my camp map. But I wouldn't be surprised to see tent cities or something going up there. Okay, so all right, there's that one. And then this is actually going to be the DOJ, just kind of keeping our eyes on them. Looks like they're coming out of Omaha back to DC. And, as we watch Durham start to drop the hammer, it's about time. And we got some indictments that are starting to come out. And so I imagine at this point it's going to start to cascade. So we're going to keep our eye on that. And, of course, we're going to keep our eye on Guantanamo Bay, which segues me into this next one here, which is Guantanamo Bay, and it is actually quiet. I haven't seen anything. Doesn't mean there's nothing going in there, but I will tell you, since Saturday, we had one flight that came in from United Airlines from Washington Dulles, and that's it. Nothing on the board. Nothing showing yet on scheduled, and nothing really on the departure side other than what we had on Saturday. So it is very, very quiet, which is very unusual, but don't think for a minute they're not building those camps up and getting it ready, because if we've got 400,000 expected in October, they're going to be moving some folks around, and they're going to be building a lot of tent cities. And so it's probably giving them just what they need. So on that note, hey, I just want to share with you guys, I did over the weekend create a new t-shirt, and I'm kind of proud of this one. So I'm just going to show you guys, check it out. I usually have this in Latin, and I decided I do have a long sleeve I made in Latin, but this is actually going to be, that's my angry monkey right there. It's Angry Hannum. And so I just decided it's time to start getting bold, and we need to start kind of letting people know how we really feel. So anyway, that's in the shop now, monkeywerxus.com. And so, yeah, that's, you'll see me wearing those quite a lot. I think we are just about ready to start having to make a stand here, folks. I don't think it's far off, because we're going to get run over if we don't. Okay. So, all right. Again, pretty quiet. Yeah, let me see if our number's down to 135. Seems to be going downward for the most part. Not seeing anything that really catches my attention outside of what we were just looking at. All right. So we'll continue to watch it if we see that uptick again like we had the other day. Very unusual. Don't see that very often. But anytime you do, you kind of know something is up. So let me just double check here on the H60s as we hit the filter and see what our number is, about 17. Now, normally the average for that is about 6 to 8, just so you guys know. That's typically what you see when you're up. So when we start seeing numbers in the 40 range, that's definitely an uptick. We've had it actually up in the 90 range once or twice when Trump was in there. So yeah, definitely gives you a good indicator if something's going on. All right. Okay. All right. Well, hey, listen, that's going to be it for today. We're hitting our 30-minute mark here. And so I will be back on Wednesday and with our next sit rep. So in the meantime, you guys stay frosty out there. Things are getting interesting. God bless. Monkey out. Check out the latest gear and products at McGuire's US.com.